Hi, everybody. Welcome to South Seminole News. We have a very special guest with us today. Can I say Principal Mossman? I feel like I still want to say that.
Yeah.
Principal Mossman is here to join us for our special show today. I'm also joined by Juliana, one of my students here at South Seminole News. The reason why we have Principal Mossman here is that 25 years ago, he sealed up a time capsule, and it says, written on there, perhaps it's your handwriting, it perhaps not, I'm not sure, but it looks like you signed it.
Oh.
It said on there, do not open until the year 2022. And here we are. Did you ever think we'd get to year 2022, Principal Mossman?
No, well, I wasn't sure I'd be here, that's for sure.
Did you ever think we'd get to 2022, Juliana?
I mean, I'm
Yes,
only
you probably
13.
did, yes. But welcome. Thank you so much for coming here. We've been going through photo albums and yearbooks for years here, seeing your picture, and you were here at a pretty amazing time and I even found a packet from 1992, and it was
Wow.
construction plans, and you know how things take time. What do you recall about them coming to you and saying, good news, Mr. Mossman, we're going to build you pretty much a brand new school?
Well, that took a little work. It didn't quite happen that way. Actually, when I came here, within a year or two, they said, well, we've got $1.5 million down for fixing up the school, dressing it up a little bit. We're going to put in some new sidewalks. It needed to be painted. And that didn't go over real well because they had just finished renovating Millwee, which was even older than South Seminole, and they got a whole new building. So we launched a campaign, and mostly parent-driven. Matter of fact, Karen Allman, who's a school board member fixing to retire, she was one of those parents, and Diane Bauer, who was a retired parent, was one of those parents who knew how to push properly without a
kind way, yes.
And so we got the parents behind it and the teachers and saying, look, so we were having maintenance trucks here every day fixing something. The classrooms were really in bad condition.
School was built in 1962 or 63, so it had been already 30 plus years.
And a lot of there was mold, some mildew, air conditioning problems, window crank problems, all kind of problems. And we said we really need a new school. So we were able to push. It took probably a year of pushing and giving them ideas. And finally, they said, okay, South Seminole's going to get a new school.
They took a tour of this place and they said, yeah, we're on your side on this one, we believe. It's been some time. We also have a lot of photos of the day of the ribbon cutting. This was in September of 1997.
Wow.
And I imagine the superintendent was here, and I believe I have a photo of you. You were there for the ribbon cutting. What was it like once that ribbon was cut and you are now the principal of this school, this 3-story building, which I believe at the time, or even now still, I don't know if any other middle schools that have 3-story buildings. What was it like for you as a principal?
It was great. We were all so excited. It was just great to have a new school. It is the only 3-story school in the county, to my knowledge. That concerned me a little bit because I had been principal of 2 other schools that were both single floor, and I thought, 2-story is one thing, 3-story for middle school kids. And I thought about all the up and down and everything, and it did concern me, but we came up with a plan and implemented it, putting the younger kids on the bottom as much as we could.
We still try
and then
to keep to
7th
that.
and 8th, and that cut down on a lot of the flow of people traveling from up and down. Not totally, you have lunch, pee, and all of that, but it did help. But it was really exciting. And the reason they had to go to 3-story, they wanted to build the school to a certain capacity. I think it was 1,250, 1,300, 1,350, something like that. And we didn't have room to spread the school out here because of the parcel of land here.
Right.
If we did, we would have encroached on the P department, and they would lose a lot of their space.
There's housing back there in the back field, plus you have the elementary school right next door.
So they had to go up to get that number. So that's how that went. But no, it was just truly exciting. And most of the staff had been here a long time.
Yes.
And so longer than myself.
It was very exciting for them.
They were really exciting for them to have new classrooms. And there's a couple of unique things here. One is the 3 stories. The other thing that was unique, the school board gave us a choice. We could have copycat Indian Trails plans, because Indian Trails had just opened. He said, we'll use their plans, that'll save some money. Or you can, with the architect, and design your own school. but you can't spend more than this amount of money naturally. And so we opted to come up with our own plan, and our main architect was Danny Bonjan.
And I feel like we have
Jan-
artist renderings here in
Yeah.
our collections of
Really?
things that we've kept over the years where
Yeah.
we can show you artist
Yeah.
renderings, drawings of what
Right.
they thought it was going to be. And it was that beautiful, like
Yeah.
horseshoe-shaped building, which it actually, sometimes artist renderings and then what you actually get aren't that close, but it was pretty close
it
in
was.
those drawings you did. I also found some other things, just to back up a little bit. Before that building got built, you had to go through a couple of years
Oh.
of what was called what was it called?
Portable City.
Portable City. I found this through a collection of items. This is a handout that they gave to all the teachers, I imagine,
Right.
with all of the portables. Castleberry Elementary's PE field, I imagine, and part of your PE field was covered in portables, and we have
Yes.
photos there we can also show you of. I'm sure there's at least 30 or 40 portables there.
At least about 40.
And so they had handwritten the names of each teacher that was going to be at each portable. Did you have communication out there with them, like telephones or intercom?
I think we did have intercom. I believe we did. But the main office was way up here in the front,
Right.
up here in this corner by the elementary school. So to get to any portable, the closest portable was at least 150 yards down that sidewalk, and then you could go right or left. So it was
Tough.
a
So-
challenge,
oh, yes.
especially at dismissal. Coming in wasn't
Oh,
as bad, but
gosh.
dismissal, everyone's going out at the same time.
So for those students who were here in, let's say, 1995 and 96, we apologize. You lived in Portable City for your middle school years, and then in 1997 you had the ribbon cutting.
Right. It was about a year and a half, maybe, of construction.
Yeah.
Maybe not more than 2. Yes, for the younger ones, the 6th graders and 7th graders got to share in that. The 8th
Right.
graders.
Sorry
Well,
about
I think
that.
the 7th did. Yeah, it depends.
Yeah, it covered
But-
at least 2 yearbooks. If
Yeah.
you go look through the yearbooks, like the first few
Yeah.
pages are construction, and then that took a while. But
Yep.
I'm sure you recognize some of the names on there. I
Oh,
believe.
yeah.
I wonder if no, Miss Utrell's name wouldn't be on there. Miss Utrell told us she worked in the cafeteria back then, but she is
Right.
still with us down on the
She
first
is.
floor.
Yeah, I just met.
You
talked
just
to her
you
a
just
while
saw her
ago.
there, yeah. So Miss Utrell is
She was-
with us. That was her first year, I believe,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yes.
I have a question. So I've seen this in the 1996 yearbook, but what is this? Could they say this is a worm?
Do you recall? Is
I
there a
don't-
story
I do.
behind the worm?
I'm not that I.
Not
there
that
must be, but I'm
A snake or a worm of some kind? You found it
I
in the
do
yearbook.
not
Also?
Yeah, it was
no.
there. Yeah, in the 1996 yearbook, it says, "Wait, is that a worm?"
Well, I imagine during construction, there are a lot of critters maybe got dug up around that time, things that you saw. So perhaps there were worms
Yeah.
in that area as well. Actually, Juliana, now that we're talking to you, you have a couple of questions maybe you'd like to ask Principal Mossman.
Yeah. So there's one of them. Like that, I have a question about the history of the dolphin that we have in the center of our school.
Yes, the center of the school.
Okay. The history of the dolphin is this. South Seminole was the Hurricanes from the very beginning when the school first, because I had a friend that went to school here and played. Back then they had football. It was a junior high.
Yep.
We actually found a football helmet when they tore down the old school in the corner. There was like 10 helmets that had been thrown behind some closet. But
South
anyway,
Seminole Junior High School.
yeah, red and white, the Hurricanes. But the hurricane is a hard thing to depict. And on the student handbook that had been given out prior to me coming here, and for a few years till we come up with something different, it had this hurricane on the front, but it looked like a buzzsaw, like
Yeah.
something when you're going to be cutting somebody or something. Anyway, we wanted to keep the Hurricanes as our nickname, but we wanted to come up with a mascot. So we took suggestions, and we took the final 4 suggestions. It was like a black bear, a dolphin, I don't know, a bobcat or something.
Mm-hmm.
We had 4, and we let the students vote on it.
Oh.
And the dolphin got the most votes. So from that, we wanted the dolphin to be our mascot, but the hurricane to still be our nickname for sports and whatever,
Sure.
things like that. So Mrs. Bowden, who you'll meet next week, was an assistant principal here. And she took it upon herself. She had a vision for the dolphin, sort of what you were saying, as a centerpiece right out here in the middle of that U-shaped area. And Miss Bowden does not do anything in a small way. It's big. When she does it, it's big. And she
did.
kind of
She
has that
went
artsy background too. And so we raised money. The school board would not pay to put a dolphin on the school ground. If you want to put one there, that's fine.
Right.
So we had to raise money So we sold those bricks, and we did other fundraising
Oh,
to
okay.
help pay. That is a $20,000 project.
So the bricks that are out front were donors who helped
Yeah.
to build.
Yeah.
Very
And we
interesting.
had
Yeah,
it,
my
you know,
aunt
put on
was
that-
there.
Oh, your
Ped-
aunt has a brick there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
with
helped
her
to build
other-
the dolphin then.
Yeah.
And it's kind of on a pedestal. Yeah, it was a huge truck that had to come in and lift it up
Yes.
and set it in place.
I have a whole photo album
Yeah.
here of the construction
Yeah,
of this building
so
and the placement of the
that,
dolphin.
That became our mascot. And of course, they put in new cameras in the school, which I had never had in a school. The video cameras.
Cameras.
Yeah, you know,
Really?
for security, and you have some now.
Yes.
You'll see them at the top of the stairwells on floor number 2, all going all the way around.
Yes.
And we had a video screen in there, and I think they gave us 6 or 9 cameras. We're down the main hallway,
Sure.
the bus ramp, these kind of things. And the kids thought that one of the cameras was in the eye of the dolphin. So when they would eat lunch, which was same place y'all eat
good.
lunch, then when they finish, we would, because it was crowded, we would make them go outside on the patio, right outside. And now I see y'all have expanded that with those tables and the tree.
Just
That's
this
really
summer,
nice,
yes, yeah.
So the kids that were sometimes might want to be mischievous, they'd always be peeking around the corner,
Look over
looking
their
up to
shoulder.
see if the dolphin was
I
watching.
love the thought of that. That
Yeah.
you look into
So
the
it worked,
eye of that
it worked
dolphin.
pretty good, but there was no camera there.
So those kids that are home that are
Actually,
watching
there
this,
was a camera. It was back over the center above the door.
So-
so there was a picture of that area, but it was coming from there, not from the dolphin.
Oh, so they had cameras back then. I wish they had recorded those. It'd be fun just to see the kids walking around in
Yeah, it would be.
1997.
It
And
was
looking
good.
at the dolphin and being like, "Oh no, the dolphin's watching us! Run away!"
That is very cool. So after the building and the ribbon cutting happened, school went on. I mean, I think you had school maybe even that day that you had the cutting. I mean, you cut the ribbon
I
in
can't
September, so it
remember.
was in the middle of the school. I mean, the beginning of the school year
Yeah.
at that time. So then it was like, all right, off to school. So the kids
Yeah.
were off to school in a brand new building, and also at the same time, we forget sometimes, brand new gymnasium as well,
Brand new gym.
and front office. You also got a new front office. The locker
were
rooms, yeah.
all new. A
And
new
the-
office.
And then the old basketball court was turned into our auditorium, our leadership hall. Is
Yes.
that what
Yep,
happened?
yep.
Yep. We'll be
And
visiting
then the
there.
only building that wasn't rebuilt was the library and media center at that time because it had been rebuilt
Right.
prior to me coming. It wasn't that old when I got here.
Which we just fixed, updated last year. So if you'd been here last year, it would have looked exactly the way it did back from 1997. So yeah, it just got updated. But so school just started in that school year with a brand new building.
Yep.
How much did your attendance change from one year to the other? Is it like, oh well, we've got a 3-floor building here now, we're going to increase the attendance at that school?
I think we grew slowly at that time.
As Castleberry was growing slowly.
Yep, Castleberry as it was growing. You know, there wasn't a wave of new students. We filled up every classroom in the school, so there wasn't any vacant classrooms. They were all being used, so we were just adding students. So we were near our capacity, but Castleberry was growing a little bit at the time. Back then, you could not go to another school for a magnet program or anything like that. There's no transferring.
Right.
Unless the school board transferred somebody
see.
for special needs or special reasons.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see.
But we were slowly growing.
You have another question there, Juliana, and you'd like to ask?
What's your favorite memory at South Seminole?
Oh, this is good. I think this is pretty good. And you probably find some history of it here somewhere. We had a science club here at the school at that time. And it might have been here before I came. We had a number of clubs, but this particular teacher was interested that sponsored it was also into ham radio.
Okay.
So they had.
That's not a radio with food on it, by the
no,
way.
no, it's not.
A ham radio is actually the style of radio.
Of communications, you can actually communicate if you have certain frequencies, and you can communicate around the world.
I imagine
on
that was a
ham
very
radio.
big club.
And but this was during the time when we were doing shuttle launches with the space shuttle, and periodically they would allow schools to apply to talk to them as they flew over your area.
Oh wow!
And our school was awarded one of those grants, if you will. And so on a special day, we had to get up early in the morning because the shuttle was going to be coming over our school around 6 or 6:30 in the morning. So the science club, some extra members, staff, and parents were invited, and we filled the media center. They had the ham radio in there, and at a certain time when the shuttle was over Central Florida, we only had a 3-minute window to call them. So I forgot exactly what the call sign was, but one of the students was operating it, and he tried to call the shuttle, and there was no response. And he called, wait a little bit, call again, there was no response. The third time he called, they came back.
And you had
So
the
he
whole
wa-
media center filled with
Oh, yeah,
kids.
and everybody was
So
clapping.
big response. I
Yeah,
feel like
the news media was here, the local Channel 9 and 6 and all of that. It was on the news that night. It was in the paper. So for 2 minutes, we talked to the shuttle commander and other members of the shuttle there.
It is
back
here
and
on the
forth.
picture frame. It was a time when our students asked questions of the Columbia astronauts while they were in orbit.
Yep.
So this did happen
Yep.
in the 90s.
And so that was pretty unique. I mean, and I know a few other schools that have done the same thing, but it's not that many. And of course, we don't have the shuttle program anymore.
Yeah, I'm getting back into that feeling, though, as these rockets go off a
Yeah.
lot here, and we can go out to the play field
Yeah.
and see them go off towards the elementary school.
Yeah.
It's a feeling from when I was a kid, seeing the shuttle go off all the time while
Yeah.
I was in middle school and elementary
Where'd you
school
grow
even.
up?
I grew up down in South Florida in Palm Beach County, so we could go out onto the play field and see the shuttles go off into the 80s and then high schools into the late 80s.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that kind of stopped, and those sonic booms that would wake us up in the morning.
Right.
But now I feel like it's kind of back again. The rocket launches
Yeah,
seem to
yeah.
go once a week, once every few weeks.
Like
It's-
the Falcon 9 and
yeah, the
Artemis.
Falcon 9 rocket.
Yeah.
Yep.
I,
It's nice to
I
have
grew up in Brevard County. I
So
was
you're
born
used
on
to it,
Patrick
yeah.
Air Force Base.
So
during
you were
the
used
war.
to those 6 a.m. sonic booms.
I saw the whole space shuttle program from the age of 12 all the way up to the day we launched to put a man on the moon. My dad
Mm-hmm.
and I were standing on top of an airplane hangar in 1969, recording on a little recorder everything we were seeing, and it was just really neat, really
Well, I
cool.
feel like we're kind of getting back to that again
Yeah.
and in Central Florida
Yeah, I
where we
think
get to
we
just there was a night last year where we had a movie night. We had a projector projecting outdoors. We were by the Dolphin and we just had a movie night. Well, right in the middle of the movie, this bright light just came up. None of the teachers or us, we had realized, there's going to be a rocket launch that night. So we were all sitting around watching Toy Story 4 on the projector in the darkness, and all of a sudden this just bright light just comes out of nowhere up above the building 3. It's just fantastic to see at night. It's
It
always
is.
great to see the
Night
nighttime.
launches were always special.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you got a few more questions on there, school related, that you'd like to ask.
Yes. One of my questions here is, what would you like your legacy to be?
Oh, very good. Legacy.
Well, I would say at each school I was at, our primary goal was to provide a positive learning environment for the school, for the teachers and the students, so that learning could take place at the highest level. And I know that sounds kind of like something that everybody would say, probably. You know, every principal would want his school to perform at the very best. But I love to teach. Every year I was a principal, I taught multiple classes during the year.
Oh,
And-
as
and-
the principal, you were
as the
still
principal.
teaching. Oh,
Yes.
very good.
and by choice, you know, and so that's really important to me. So the teachers knew that I liked to teach, and they knew that I knew good teaching. So in a positive way, we were able to encourage that and do a few things that made our school kind of jump up a little bit. At each school, we were able to raise test scores, have good discipline. I took South Seminole and the staff. I don't say I because that's why the legacy is our legacy. It's not my legacy. It's the teachers and staff, the parent support, and all of it. But we took South Seminole from a C to an A back when schools were scored like that, and we kept it at an A all the way through. So and it takes some work, you know. But the teachers were good. They cooperated, you know, and so.
May I ask, how many years have you been working in the education field or in Seminole County?
33 years in Seminole County as a full-time employee, but I've worked part-time for another 10 years.
Oh,
And how many
wow.
years were you here at this school?
12.
12 years.
12 years.
So you saw a lot of change
Yeah.
in those 12 years for sure. Because you
Absolutely.
saw the old building, the construction of this building, and then you got to spend some time
Right.
here in this new building as well. What memories do you have of, and whose idea was it, and what memories do you have of putting together this time capsule that we are about to open?
Okay, I'm a little weak on that one, to be honest with you. I've talked to other educators that are be out here next week, and we're all trying to remember where did this idea came from. It may have come from some of the students through a club or an activity.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said, yes, that's a good idea, and different departments and were asked to contribute things to put in the capsule. As you said, it's only this big and this big around, so you
Yeah.
couldn't put anything in there real big.
It was heavy though. It's
Yes,
been up
it's
here for the past year, but for 24 years,
It was in
Yeah.
the front
it
office.
was downstairs.
Yeah.
I think, by the way, you did the right thing by not burying it, because we may have all not remembered that it was
Right.
buried. I imagine a good spot would have been by the dolphin to bury it. But since you didn't, it's been perfectly preserved, and we're looking forward to opening it up. As a matter of fact, as we're watching this video, today is the day we will be opening up this time capsule. And do you have any thoughts on, do you remember anything that yourself that you put in there?
I think there may have been, and this isn't necessarily educationally related, except the students went there, but I know we had one or two students that went here who became professional athletes. And they have these cards, like
okay.
baseball cards, but one of them in particular was a basketball player. He was one of the original members of the Orlando Magic.
Orlando Magic?
Wow.
And he was a
Yes.
student here.
Jeff Turner. Yeah.
Jeff Turner went
Jeff
to...
Turner went to South Seminole Middle School.
You're kidding me. He's
What?
one of the original 5 from
Yeah.
the Orlando
So I
Magic.
think his card
No
is in there, one
way.
of his cards, and there may have been somebody else.
Jeff
and
Turner. So
Oh
Jeff
my
Turner's in that same yearbook
gosh.
that your aunt is in, I
My
believe.
aunt may
then.
have known him.
Wow,
Oh my
Jeff Turner went to
gosh.
school here. Well, we got to get him out here. That's good
Yeah,
news.
We,
And-
we had him out. Of course, he was
When-
with the Magic, or right after
At
he
the
got
time,
out as
yeah.
a broadcaster. We had him come out for an assembly, one of the assemblies that we did.
Gosh, I had no idea he
Yeah.
went to school here.
Oh
That's
my
so cool.
goodness.
Now we've had one since then, but
An athlete.
he came Parsons. He played in the NBA for like 10 or 12 years.
and he went to school here as well.
Yes,
Very,
yes.
very
Chandler
good.
Parsons, you mean?
So we're looking forward to opening that time
Yeah,
capsule
but-
now to see
yeah,
this there.
Yeah, but again, it has to be things that are small.
Sure.
Could be some pictures.
Right. It was a heavy capsule, but you're right.
Yeah,
It wasn't
yeah,
too
yeah,
big.
that's heavy gauge.
My biggest concern was that we're going to open it up and find some kind of floppy disk in there for a computer, and then we're in trouble.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, it could be.
what do we do then? That's why
could be.
when we are now going to continue the tradition and start another time capsule to open in 25 years, and I'm thinking, oh, I'll put little USB thumb drives in there, but
Yeah.
somebody
in
might look at
25
that and be
years.
like, what's this doorstop doing in this thing? That's nothing. But yeah, hopefully in 25 years there'll still be USB drives. But I might be taking a chance doing that if
You should probably put both in there just in case.
yeah, a paper version and a USB version
Yeah.
just in case. So
I
we
think
might be
that's cool.
we might be continuing the tradition. And
Yeah.
in tradition, I guess, is very important because as new students come here and walk down these hallways, we try to teach them that, this isn't just a building that you're in. There's history here. Your
Exactly.
younger brothers and your older brothers and sisters went here. Your parents went here. I had a student a couple of years ago who told me her grandfather taught here in the 60s. I mean, the school and the city of Castleberry has a really rich history, and if students know this as they walk down the hallways, maybe they appreciate their school just a little bit more knowing these things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot of history in all of our schools,
Absolutely.
some more than others.
Absolutely. So
When I came here, there were only 3 high schools in the county.
Oh.
Lyman,
there's 3.
Sem-
I think there's 3 on Redbug
Yeah.
right now.
Lyman, Seminole High, and Oviedo. Those
Yeah.
were the 3 points of our county, and that's where most of the population lived.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I know that we are running short on time. We're glad that you'll be able to join us today. Did we get through all of your questions? Do you have one more there?
I have one here that says, "Thank you for your contributions toward the foundation of SSA.
Yes, thank you for your contributions. And the final question on there says,
What are you up to these days?"
yes.
Well, I mentioned I've been coaching golf at Lyman for the last 9 years, boys golf. I don't
wow.
know if I'll continue, but it's been 9 consecutive years, girls and boys, and it's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it. I have 3 daughters, and I have 12 grandchildren. So that
Oh,
keeps me
wow.
busy.
Okay.
And I'm active in my church. So those 3 things keep me going.
Now, did you move away from Central Florida for a while?
I
and then you
did.
came back?
Yeah, we moved to North Georgia, beautiful place up there. We were there 8 years.
How long? How long? So you've been back? You said 9 years at least, coaching golfing.
Yeah, I've been back about 9 years.
Well, that's good because you signed to that time capsule, and we're glad that at the time it's time to open it, you've decided to return to Central Florida.
That's right.
That's great for us. Well, we thank you for your time, and I'm sure during this event today that's going on, you'll be able to, I'm sure, answer questions from people that are going to be at the event, and we'll open up that time capsule and find out what it was like in 1997.
That's right. I'm curious myself.
Yeah. 1997 doesn't seem that far away
It's
to me.
far for
you,
me.
yes, those are negative minus years for you. I can think back to 1997 easily, but I guess 25 years is a long time. I guess we should open this time capsule up, shouldn't we?
Yeah, it's such an honor for me to meet you.
Yes,
thank
it is
you
very.
very much.
We've been looking at your
Yeah.
pictures and yearbooks and things for years here, and to have you here in person is wonderful. Thanks for visiting with us here at South Seminole News.
I appreciate y'all asking me. It's great to be here.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.